Hey everyone, welcome to the episode of Let's Talk Guild Wars 2. This is episode 3, and we'll be talking about the Heart of Thorns release and my initial thoughts on everything, my feedback, and how I've generally experienced it so far over the weekend. Just a quick shout out to all the people who joined me on stream on Saturday. I'm sorry I didn't stream on Sunday, but I was really itching to do a bit of story, and that's what I did. And I said I would not stream story at all, just because there were some people in the stream that haven't gotten Heart of Thorns yet, so I didn't want to spoil anything, and really I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, so I probably will never stream story episode at all on stream, ever. So, everything else that we're going to talk about, the masteries, we're going to talk about specializations, we're going to talk about the maps, we're going to talk about the events, we're going to talk about everything that so far we have all come to have different opinions on in Heart of Thorns so far. So let's get started. So first thing I want to talk about is the amount of content we have gotten in this expansion. I mean, it has blown my mind. I was expecting something and got far more than I thought I would. Mostly in the quality. Quantity is very huge, but quality in general of everything, like adventures, of events, of a lot of things, have been great. Like, there's just so much to do, and a lot of it is really good. I was really surprised sometimes. I hate to say it, but some of it I was really surprised to see how good some of the stuff was, especially in the adventures. Adventures were really fun. I enjoyed them so much. I urge you to go and play adventures. I'm not going to spoil any of them in the video at all because there's a lot of them that are really, really cool. I don't want to spoil any of that surprise for you guys because some of them are really fun, and I want you to experience that for yourselves and see how you think. So, and see if you can beat me. If you see, if any of you friended me at all, you might see me on your friends list. Might see me there. If you see me at all and you try to beat me, just let me know. Maybe you'll get a higher score than I. Maybe. No, I haven't done too many because I haven't explored too much just yet. But on the topic of exploration, it's just the maps are just beautiful. Oh my God, it's just been just looking at it, painting like Picasso. The art team deserves a day, like they deserve a vacation. They deserve everything, all my love, all of our love, because these maps are just gorgeous. All the details, just like down to like mob. I mean, even to the designers, like the developers, like mob placements. Sometimes I was up in Verdant Brink flying around and I saw these vampire bat things just on this random airship piece. I was like, oh my gosh, if I landed there and I was like, I would just be attacked by random mobs in these areas. So it's just kind of really cool, things going on. The maps are really beautiful. All of it sounds really awesome. The other thing is, this release was so super smooth. Like, it was just smooth as butter, or something else that is smooth. I've played a lot of MMOs. I've played through many MMOs, and this has probably been the smoothest MMO release I have experienced so far. Like, I only crashed maybe 3 times total on Saturday and once on Sunday. I think the 3 times I crashed is because I was recording, and actually the video you're watching in the background is me and going through some stuff, and I crashed a couple times during the recording. So that was basically it. And one instance of maybe 10 seconds of lag, and that was it. Like, nothing else after that. And there was one download for a patch that went a bit too slow than normal. That was it. That was all. There was nothing else. There was only a couple bugs that I experienced. Everything else ran super smooth. I was really happy with that. Kudos to everyone in it for that. That was just amazing. Now, to the meat of what we're going to be talking about. What I want to talk about is masteries. So masteries, if you don't know, if you've been under a rock, in a cave, being a hobo, I don't know, a hermit, that's it. If you've been in a cave under a rock as a hermit in a cave under a rock, you wouldn't know what masteries are. So if you don't know what they are, they're kind of the next level of progression for us playing Guild Wars 2. So they didn't add armor, they didn't add levels, they added masteries. Although to some people, masteries just feel like more leveling. So we'll get into that in just a minute. Mastery is basically you gain your experience to use the mastery points to level up your masteries. And there are different areas you can earn these masteries in. So you have Maguma masteries, which are earned in the Maguma zones. And then there are Central Tyria masteries, which are earned in the rest of the core game. So basically, you earn experience to use your mastery points, which you find around the Maguma jungle, and you use that experience. You earn experience once you've learned all the experience. You've like practically quote unquote leveled up. You can use your mastery points to spend on whatever mastery you want. So basically, you're leveling up the mastery to use the points. Is what I'm trying to get to. If you got confused, so. The biggest issue right now, which a lot of people are talking about, is does this feel like grinding? Does this feel like grinding? Is it grinding? Does it? You're trying to go along, and I have to say that there's a significant amount of experience points that you need to get. In fact, players have found a way to earn Central Tyria masteries really quick because they've found an event in a dungeon to participate in over and over and over again without leaving the dungeon. That's in COF Path 3, I believe, or Path 2, where you have Mag, who is a bomb maker. He's an Asura. He's running around with a bomb, and he places the bomb to open the door to the last part of the dungeon. In this event, you have a percentage of how far he is with the bomb, and numerous mobs of Flame Legion spawn over and over and over again until the event ends. So how players have used this to their advantage is they use whatever boosters they've got, XP boosters, birthday celebrations, whatever, and they just farm these mobs that continuously spawn over and over again. And before Mag can finish the bomb and finish the event, they allow these special mobs, assassins, kill Mag, and just basically do the event over again. So they just keep doing that over and over again and farming these experience points. Now, that just sounds awful. Boring. I mean, it's just awful and boring. Like, it just doesn't even feel good to me. My opinion on this particular discussion, like sub-discussion of masteries, is that I just don't think that this is healthy at all. It is not a fun way to play the game. It is not a cool way to play the game. It isn't even remotely like interesting or exciting or anything. It is just awful. And I think that arena should fix that. Like, I do. I think they should just make those mobs give no experience, because that's just exploiting an event for your own gain. And I think that if us in the Maguma jungle have to get our masters the normal way, I think that everyone else should. So, I mean, there should be no special treatment for those. Although you could bring up the argument that new players might have a harder time, but we're still all leveling up. We're all still gaining experience at the same rate. Unless you're like a no-lifer and play all day and night, and don't have a job, and don't go to school, just play this game for a living. Then, I mean, that's an exception, but none of us are like that, right? Right? So on the topic of grinding and masteries, there's a significant amount of XP you need to gain to actually use the mastery points. And my opinion on all this is that, yes, it is a lot of experience. I mean, it is quite a lot. And sometimes you feel like you're just not getting anywhere with it. But there's a few things I wanted to point out. First of all, is you gain, there's a lot of things giving you experience in these maps. You might say there isn't, there might be is, but I see a lot of things giving me experience randomly throughout the map. For example, Inverted Brink, all these maps do the same thing, but Inverted Brink, you have the map rewards. They're giving you, not only are they giving you items like crafting materials and stuff, bags to open, they're giving you experience. And so you're just constantly just walking through the map, gaining experience. No matter what you're doing, you're gaining experience. You're always gaining experience no matter what you do. The only thing that doesn't give you experience at all is channeling on the mastery points. And that's it. Even doing the hero challenges gives you mastery points or experience, like just channeling on the ones that you just have to channel. They give you experience. You run around getting vistas, they gain you experience. Getting POIs, they gain you experience. Just sitting in the map AFK, gaining you experience, because you get those map rewards just randomly. Depending on your participation level in the map, which is quantified by a percentage, you gain more rewards, you gain more experience. So the more you do stuff, the more experience you'll be passively getting through those map rewards. And you're doing events, which are also giving you experience. Yeah, they don't give you a whole ton. They give you about 18,000 experience, and you need millions of experience. It's still a significant amount of experience. But overall, in the end, it's still a very huge amount of experience you need to get. It does sometimes feel very grindy. Now, this is the other side of my opinion. I'm going on a tangent here, but I'm getting to the end. So the way I decided to play Heart of Thorns is very different than how I played Guild Wars 2 originally. When I first started playing Guild Wars 2, I just kind of went through. I just went and did everything like as fast as I could, going through it, and that's not how I usually played. But I was so excited for Guild Wars 2. I was so excited for all of it. I was just pumped. I was like, oh, the adrenaline pumping through my veins. The hype is going through my mind, and I'm ready to go. And I go and I go and I go and I get through everything. I'm like, oh, I'm at the end and I'm done. Oh, there's nothing else. 3 years later. But what my point is that I decided to take Heart of Thorns a different path. I decided to go with a different mindset, and I decided to go with the idea that I'm just going to experience it. I'm just going to go through at a pace that allows me to experience everything and not run out of stuff to do. My whole thing is that I don't know when the next expansion is coming out. I'm thinking a bit far ahead. I mean, we're getting raids soon. We're going to be getting PvP leagues soon. But I don't know how long that'll hold me off. I don't know, because I haven't experienced it yet. I don't know when the next living story is going to come out. I don't know if there is any living story. I don't know when the next expansion is coming out. I don't know when any other new content after Pro Leagues and raids is coming out. I don't know when new fractals are coming out. I don't know anything. So I might as well make what I have last. And I think that ANET is helping me a little bit by giving me all the experience to earn. I mean, it's a kind of a backward. I don't know if it's backwards. It's kind of, I guess it is kind of a backwards way of thinking. But I mean, by giving us all this experience, I mean, it allows us to take our time. I mean, even if we pound through it, I'm not going to pound through it. I'm just going to go do the events, because a lot of the events in the Maguma Jungle are really fun. So, some of them are kind of very, standard, kill waves of enemies or do this and that, but a lot of them are really interesting and fun to do, especially the further you get into the Maguma Jungle. And that will tide me over. I do believe that, I will get through the masteries at a good pace. I'll get through specializations at a pace, and I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that, and I don't mind going through the masteries. Though, I will say, with a caveat, saying that yes, it is kind of a grind. It is, for those that feel that way, it is kind of a grind. And if you're that kind of person who's impatient, or not, that's the wrong way to say it. If you're not as patient as other people who can go through it, it's going to be harder for you. You're going to feel like it's going to be a grind because you want to get it. And then you're going to end up doing, and if you get too far into that mindset, you're going to end up like those people sitting in COF, farming mobs in COF over and over and over again. You can't do that with Maguma Masteries. So that was my opinion on Masteries. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I mean, we're all entitled to our opinions. I'm not going to argue over it. I really don't want to, because the more I find the more I argue about all these different things, the more I seem to enjoy Heart of Thorns less. And so I don't want to do that. And yeah, you might be saying, well, you're just like putting a veil over your face. But no, I see the flaws, but I'm not going to express them. I'm going to make the good things bloom instead of making the flaws bloom. That's basically what I want to do. And, I find that makes my time playing the game more enjoyable. Yes, you might, I guess it's ignorant in some way. And I will stress to ArenaNet, to anyone who's watching the video, yes, it would be kind of a good thing that if they kind of tone down the experience you had to earn for masteries. I wouldn't say no. But you know what? Until they do, I'm okay with it. So the next thing I want to talk about is the specializations leveling though, but I do have a pretty interesting opinion, pretty hefty opinion on this, because I did read there's been a lot of talk about how hero challenges are kind of a little of a block for people. So the way that you earn your specialization is you gain your hero points, and if you're a veteran of the game and you play on your main or whatever, you have a lot of hero points accumulated from doing world completion and leveling up and stuff like that. From the skill point converting into hero points and spirit shards and stuff like that. So the way you get your specializations is by spending these hero points. You need about 400 hero points to get all the way to 100% on your specialization on like Dragon Hunter, Chronomancer, whatever. The way that you get the hero points is going through and channeling or doing the hero challenges in the Maguma jungle. Now, the differences between the hero challenges and the Corteria and between the Corteria and the Maguma is that the Maguma hero challenges, give 10 hero points, whereas the hero challenges in Corteria only give 1. So it is more efficient to do the ones in the Maguma jungle. In fact, if you go through all the maps doing all of the hero challenges, you get enough to earn your specialization all the way through. In fact, you don't even have to do all of them, you just have to do enough to get 400. And the other great thing is that the hero challenges in particular are character based. So you can go on one character, do all the hero challenges, and then go on another and do all the hero challenges. Now, mastery points, the channeling for all the mastery points are account bound, since masteries are account bound. So these are the only things that are kind of character based. So you can go, again, you can go on one character, get hero challenges, go another, get the hero challenges, and get those specializations leveled up. Now, this is where the difficulty comes in, or the kind of issue we have here with specializations and hero challenges. The hero challenges themselves are the problem. I guess kind of the problem. So some hero challenges require you to defeat a mob. Some require you to do a certain activity. Some of them you can't get unless you have a specific mastery. For example, masteries. There is a hero challenge in Verdant Brink that it's in like the hollow of a tree. The hero challenge itself, like the little like glowing orb thing that you channel on, is inside all these like poisonous thorns. Now, the only way you can get to that is if you have Itzel Poison Lore in the Itzel mastery line. And that's like the fourth one, I think, the third one down. And that basically, unless you're, a little bit of secret here, Necros can kind of get around that because of, Death Shroud, but all the other classes, anyone normal goes in, they're going to die because they don't have the Poison Lore. They won't be able to get the hero challenge. Another example is there's another challenge where there's another channel, you can channel on the orb, but there's a Nuhawk frog dude who sits there and tells you you're not worthy because you don't have the right mastery. You have to show him that you're worthy by going through a hollow, and these hollows are like little holes that the Nuhawk can go through to travel and stuff. And you have to go through that and show up there at the hero challenge, and he'll allow you to channel on the hero point. And I got around that sometimes because for some reason at one point he had like disappeared. I think possibly he might disappear if you show up like that, but I don't know. I haven't really experienced. I've seen what happens with that, but he won't let you get through unless you have that mastery. Now, some other masteries require you to fight bosses. Well, not bosses, but mobs. Like some of them are veterans, but some of them are also champions. And so for another example of that is if you go down like one of the very first hero challenges you find, it's all the way down at like the bottom, at like the floor of the jungle where like some of Mordremoth's roots are. And you can get a mastery point there, and below that there is the hero challenge. You activate the hero challenge and it summons a random champion Mordrem. Or Mordrem champion, and it could sometimes be a Thrasher, it could be a Terragriff, it could be something else. But even if you manage to fight it without dying, there's a time limit. And so by yourself, you can't really complete it because you won't be able to do that much damage enough to finish it off. I was full Zerker Guardian and I still couldn't finish it because, it just had so much health. I didn't put out enough damage. And then I brought some guildies with me. I brought like 2 other guildies with me and we completed it. So this is the biggest issue with solo players especially, is because they can't go do some of these hero challenges, especially the ones that require champions, because, and this is mainly directed towards those hero challenges, because the other ones are kind of fine. I understand those, and I'm fine with those, because they're just kind of blocked off by certain things. This one's blocked off by just time limits and a champion mob, which kind of feels kind of weird. Just like, man, I really wish I could just fight a veteran, because some of them you fight veterans. Why can't we fight just veterans if we're soloing? Now, solo play, some players like to play solo, some players like to play with a group. I go back and forth. I sometimes like to play with no one, and sometimes I like to play with everyone. So, but not everyone wants to play with a lot of people. Sometimes they just want to experience the game through their own eyes and not someone else's. So, I like to play by themselves. That's understandable, and I think that maybe, possibly, ArenaNet should just tone down the hero challenges that make you fight champions. So if you're a solo player, you can go in and get the hero challenge by yourself. Maybe make it a little bit more, maybe kind of make the veterans slightly more difficult, but not make them so difficult that you either A, run out of time, or B, just get brutally destroyed by this mob because it's a champion, or even, I mean, we have, or legendary. I don't think any of them are legendaries, but most of them ones are champions. And if there's more than one person there, just scale it up to a champion mob, or a veteran mob, or elite mob. I mean, that's easy enough, right? I mean, not just one line of code, as they say, but it's still feasible to change, and I think that would be a good change to make to the hero challenges, to maybe make give those solo players a little bit of an easy time, because specializations are important. These are something that we really wanted to play with. We really wanted to be able to go into the jungle and play with these specializations, but sometimes you experience the whole map without getting the specialization. Like, you go through the entire entirety of the maps, and by that time you've already finished your specialization by that time. But the thing is, didn't we want to play our specializations throughout the maps? That's the thing. So I think that's something that maybe ArenaNet could change it. I don't know if they will. Maybe they will. Though, to be honest, I won't be too upset about it, because again, there's also the argument that you could just ask for help on those. I mean, there are a lot of helpful players in the game. There are a lot of nice players. And also, you have your guildies or your friends. You can always ask them to come help you and stuff. And there's also looking for group tool that a lot of people have been using to find help for the hero challenges, so you can always use that. So in the meantime, I think that's what we can do. And yeah, I guess it's doable with multiple people, I think, though, but maybe we can give something to solo players to do, because since we have all this group content in here, the events and all that sort of stuff. So speaking of the events, I wanted to mention that, yes, someone actually mentioned to me multiple times that events seem to be like the main thing, and then a lot of these maps are centered around group content. And yes, I do believe that's basically what needs to happen. And why does it need to happen? And this is just something I think should be key for maps, is because think about all of the maps in Tyria. There's tons of events that just sit there and never get completed, that never see an end. They just go on and on forever and never get done because no one does them. And mainly because there's no incentive to. Many of the rewards, now hopefully with this new map reward system, many of the events will get done in some of the other maps. But still, I think that doing it this way, making grouping a very important part to events, just events, should be important. For example, the meta event in the Auric Basin has a lot of different smaller events that go along, but a lot of them require more than one person. I don't think any event should be soloable. Like an event, like a dynamic event should be soloable. I don't believe that it should be. I think earlier on, in early levels, maybe, but now we're here, we're level 80, we have masteries, we have specializations. I think that this is where we start grouping up, being a part of the player base and getting through all these events together. And that's essentially what most of the events are about. Speaking of difficulty and things, this is the last thing I want to talk about. I think that we've come back up to the difficulty of all the mobs that we experienced in the second beta weekend. The third beta weekend, all the mobs were kind of really weak. They didn't do that much damage. It was really easy, and it wasn't really difficult at all. Now, I want to stress the differences between when I'm talking about difficult and when I'm talking about challenging. When I talk about difficult, I'm talking about life or death, like I'm dying or I'm not dying. Challenging means that when I talk about challenging, I'm saying I have to think about what I'm doing. I have to dodge a lot of stuff. These mobs have like interesting mechanics, and there's a mixture. I want to say mixture of a lot of difficulty and challenge in the maps. Some mobs are difficult, but not very challenging or engaging. Some of them are. For example, the snipers. I'm going to say the sniper is the most annoying mob ever in the map, but they're kind of really interesting because they have a lot of different abilities that I think not a lot of people pay attention to. First of all, a sniper has obviously a sniper shot that hits you and also leaves a trail of like a damaging trail of like Mordrim stuff. It also has like a dodge. It also dodges and also goes invisible. It also has like a multi-shot as well, like kind of like a rapid fire. So it's like several different abilities that it does, and it does them. And I have experienced this sometimes, and not all the time. They use them in reaction to what you're doing. So a lot of mobs also do this. I'm not going to go through every single one that does stuff like this because a lot of them do different things. I think that adding this complexity gives some sort of challenge to them. Yeah, some mobs are not challenging or engaging. Sometimes they're just difficult and they just like have a lot of damage or a lot of health. That's fine. You need a mixture of all challenging and challenging, engaging versus difficult content in there. I think that's healthy. And I think that right now the maps are perfectly fine that way. I think that if you're arguing that things are too difficult and you can't run around as a solo player, I think that maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not meant to be soloed. Some people can get through it, some people can't. I don't have much of a problem getting through, although I do, yes, sometimes I do just randomly die because I'm taking on too much. I'm chewing. What is the saying? I am biting off more than I can chew. Sometimes I'm biting off more than I can chew. For example, I ran into I thought, oh man, I can fight 6 Mordrim by myself, right? No, I can't fight 6 Mordrim by myself because there's way too many things I need to pay attention to. There's there's 2 snipers, there's 3 stalkers, there's and a Punisher. Like I have to dodge the Punisher's large hammer attack. The stalkers are stealthing everywhere. They could do like their little death blossom things, and then I have the snipers to watch out for their sniper attacks. That's a lot to think about. And if you think, oh, there's just so many mobs, there's just all mobs everywhere. Yeah, there's a lot of mobs, and if you try to fight all of them at once, I think that maybe you have a more difficult time. Although maybe that's not what's happening. Maybe there's something else happening. I don't know. What I do know is that I think that the difficulty and the challenging aspects of the maps are at a good place. I find that it allows for some solo play, but also it also allows group play as well. So, final thoughts on it all. I think the masteries, yes, I think I have found a way to make them doable for myself. Maybe they're a bit grindy. Maybe it could be changed. Specializations, yeah, I think the hero challenges should be changed to help with gathering the specializations, because that's a main portion of the game that we wanted to experience as we go through Heart of Thorns. The events are cool, maps are gorgeous, and the difficulty of generally the mobs in the maps I think are at a good spot. If you disagree with me or agree with me, that's up to you. If you have some comments, please do put them in the script, put them down below, or hit me up on Twitter. But do make your comments constructive. I don't want to hear I don't want to see people arguing. I don't want to argue about it. I want to talk about it. I want to communicate. I want to have a conversation, not a yelling match. So hopefully, if you this might have changed your minds about a few things. If it hasn't, that's okay. If you don't like Heart of Thorns, well, then you don't like Heart of Thorns. I can't convince you to like it. I can't convince you to like masteries or specializations. I like them. A lot of other people like them. A lot of people don't like them. There's just different people, different gamers, different people, and everyone will have a different experience. So hopefully we can all still get along. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It might have seemed a bit long and I might have rambled on a lot. Hope you guys are having a fun time of Heart of Thorns. Hope you enjoy more, and I can't wait for more. I'll see you guys, as always, next time. Bye!